Otherwise, I'm going to go ahead and talk to somebody else who wants to talk to us. We have Alex, who's calling in from Canada. Alex, you are live on Truth Wanted. What's up?
Hi. Yeah. Just with the previous caller, you guys were talking about the flood. See, I,
Hmm.
I think the flood actually happened in 2239 BC, according to scholars and chronologists. And I think the flood was just because humanity was just so wicked that he had to do a reset. So that's why it's written in the Bible, replenish the earth, because it was already full, but no, you
So,
got to replenish.
so there was no other way to handle that situation other than we have to kill everybody. That was the best possible solution to the problem.
Right. Well, he kept Noah, in order to restart. But what makes you think you are what dies? We're just at the end of the day, we're just spirits inside a
Well,
physical avatar.
here's the thing. Later on in the same book, God sends down his son, Jesus, right, to forgive me of my sins so that I don't have to die, right? Like I don't have to live eternity apart from God. I can be with him, right? Why didn't he do something like that instead of killing everybody?
Well, the God of the Old Testament, right, Yahweh, is more
Yeah.
of a false God, and it's not the same God as the New
Oh.
Testament.
Okay. So now we're getting into some Gnosticism. Are you a Gnostic, Alex?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. See, that would make you in the minority opinion of most Christians today because Gnosticism, for those who aren't aware, obviously different forms of it predominantly, is an early form of Christianity that was deemed heretical by, at least deemed heretical by the Catholic Church. But, they think a lot of stuff's heretical. So, whatever there. Basically, it describes this idea that Yahweh is an entity or a spirit that's different from what's described in the New Testament in the life of Jesus. So just folks at home who are listening. Is that a fair assessment, Alex?
Yeah, that's a fair assessment. So Yahweh
Yeah.
would be the demiurge, the creator of
Yeah.
the physical world. So we are kind of prisoners down here. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. That is it's a very old belief tradition. About as old as Christianity itself. So interesting, Alex. You might be one of the first callers on my show that has explicitly held the Gnostic position. Why do you think God is even real? Why is that something you believe in?
Well, I mean, it's like undeniable to me because I could just look at nature and see, just a beautiful creation.
Hmm.
And yeah,
So
it's
you look at
God
nature
is
and you
always,
see beautiful things. Why does
right.
that mean that there's a
I don't
God?
because everything's nature's intelligent. You know, but
Okay,
what I
yeah,
wanted
but
to come
we
to,
could. I know, Alex, you wanted to talk about something else, but real quickly here, you see beautiful things and there's a God, but could it be possible that beautiful things exist and also there might not be a God?
no,
Why
I
not?
think everything's made through intelligence. It's just intelligent by design. I mean, that's
Intelligent
just
by
the way
design?
yeah, that's just the way I see it.
What makes you say that? What yeah, I agree. There's beautiful things. You got the Grand Canyon. You've got all the oceans of the world. I mean, there's a lot of good things, and I can be like, wow, yeah, that's pretty. But also, probably within a few miles of my house, there's a cat that's eating a rat, or there's somebody dying of cancer. I mean, there's a lot of bad things as well that seem to be just as prevalent as the good things, right? So, like, yeah, I recognize there's beautiful things and there's also aesthetically unpleasing things, but neither of those things necessarily point to a god for me, right? Like, why does that point to a god to you?
Well, it comes back to the demiurge, right? So, yeah, like you
Mm.
said, there's a lot of adversity. It's like there's inherent polarity, like red versus blue everywhere, whether it be the brain or the politics. Everything is
Mhm.
just adversity. And that brings us back to the demiurge, being the creator of this physical world, and this this being kind of a trap, and that's why you have to kind of have faith in order to be, to be out of that
Faith in what exactly?
inherent adversity.
In your view, what does faith mean?
Faith, it just means that we're made in the image of God, so we're basically eternal. So I just know that when my time is done on this earth, it's not over. It's only the end, but it's not over.
Okay. I've been asking a lot of questions here. Ashley, what do you got? I know you have some questions.
Well, I personally don't feel convinced that just because something's pretty that God automatically did it. But I also am wondering, do you think that humans are a perfect design by God?
Well, we're made in His image. We're the five like the final creation. Like I don't think there's any creation over us, right?
Do you think that there's a lot of flaws with the human body in general though? So if he was a perfect God, wouldn't the design be perfect? I I'm asking because I'm
No.
specifically thinking of certain parts of the anatomy that aren't perfect.
Like, can you give me an example?
Our waist area is right next to our pleasure area. That's
Mhm.
one.
I had to get my
Um,
appendix removed when I was in middle school, because it was inflamed, and if I didn't have it removed by doctors, I could have died, like a lot of people have in the past.
People like,
Some
Dan, he's
people.
wearing glasses right now. His
That's
vision's
right.
not perfect.
Mhm.
Are those due
Sometimes
to
people have
maybe
crowded
choices you
teeth.
made in the past?
Say it one more time, Alex.
Is that due to choices you maybe done in the past, or
My appendix? No, I don't think so. I don't think there's been any clear indication of when people's appendix ruptures or why. Well, I mean, most biologists, from my understanding, believe the appendix to be an organ that served a function in the past that it no longer serves to function and can actually disrupt our systems, as it obviously did with me, right? But it doesn't even have to be with me, right? There's people with cleft lips that are born. There's people that are born blind. There's people that are born deaf. There's people that are born with lots of things that they never necessarily did anything to deserve, nor their parents or anything like that, right? They're just kind of born that way, right?
well, then again, they're born that way. Maybe they were placed there for a reason. Maybe it's a way to develop a part of their personality that they
Yeah,
need
but
to
what about
develop.
like,
Or,
I'm sorry to be morbid here, Alex, but what about like Harlequin babies? Like, what about babies that don't survive childbirth process or mothers that don't
I mean,
survive the childbirth process?
well, then they'll
I
be
mean, that
reincarnated and maybe try it all over again. It's
okay, but
But what if
why?
reincarnation's not true? Like, what if like, all we know is this life.
Well, I can give you a radio analogy, right? So, if you break let's say the radio is the physical body, and you break the radio. I mean, the signal is still present. Just the radio is not working anymore.
But that's a dualism of a type, right? That's an idea that there's an us outside of our material selves. But why should we believe that to be true?
I mean, you know, uh, you can operate my brain, but you can't see my thoughts. When we
It's
go to
true.
sleep at night, we have a spiritual experience right then and there every night.
How
Well,
do you know that?
I definitely can't see your thoughts, right? I don't have those powers. But like, why does that mean that my thoughts can't be material?
Uh, I mean, can you prove to me you love your mom? Like,
Yeah, I think I can
do you, do
demonstrate
you
that. Yeah, for sure.
like, can you see happiness walking down the street? Uh,
Yeah, if somebody has a smile on their face or something, right?
well, this,
I could
well, that doesn't mean they're happy.
That's true,
It's
that's
just a
true.
facade.
There's other social indicators though, right? There's even biological ones too, right? We can look at people's dopamine levels. We can look at people's serotonin levels. We can see if there's a chemical imbalance. It's actually why it's why I'm on, and many people are on antidepressants to help with their mood, right? Because like there's a chemical process that happens there. So there's definitely at least a material element to it, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they're both they're both consubstantial.
Yeah. So if there's definitely a material element to it, like I think it's fair, and it sounds like you agree that there's at least a material element to
Yeah.
it. Why should we believe there's a spiritual element to it?
I mean, I feel like well, not I feel, but I mean, it's part of the same coin, like heads or tail. It's like the same coinage. The, the
It,
the physical and the metaphysical can't be without. It's
why not? I mean, like, look,
I
look,
mean,
look. We have right now, Alex. Right? We have Chat GPT available to us. Right? You talk to that thing. That thing sounds like it's alive. I mean, like you talk to it. It can give you opinions. It can tell you stuff about the world. That's pretty crazy. There's no spirit to that, though, right? Like, I don't think there's a spirit to it.
there's
But
not.
yeah. So, I mean,
There's not.
what if, and I'm just saying, what if humans are kind of the same way? What if maybe there's just no spirit to us either? I mean, is that even possible?
Well, well, I mean, ChatGPT and all internet, all technology works throughout the ether. So we're like etheric sparks, if you think about it. It's no
What does
different.
that mean? I don't know what that means. What does that mean? Etheric sparks.
Well, what I mean by that is, like the ether is everywhere. It's present everywhere. To me, it's undeniable. It's a hard question, really. I didn't
Sure.
think that one through, but
No, no, I get it. And
mhm.
and you know what? Things could exist too, Alex, right? Like that we may not be able to describe very well, right? Like I think dark matter is a thing. I think if you ask me to describe it, I have no idea what to tell you. It's not my field of study. I wouldn't tell you what it looks like, what it smells like, whatever. But there's a lot of really smart people out there who've done a lot of work who say, yeah, this is a thing that exists, or at least a function. There's a role in it somewhere. So sure, some things could exist and we may not know how to describe they exist. But at least, when a scientist is talking about dark matter, they can look at its relationship to other things that have properties in the universe, right? We can compare other models, we can contrast. In other words, we can kind of verify these ideas. So what I'm curious about is this idea of the spiritual that you've talked about. How can we verify this spiritual idea, that this idea that there's spirituality beyond ourselves? Do you have any ideas?
I don't know if this would answer your question, but like I said at the beginning, the demiurge is the creator of the physical world, right? So everything
Sure.
and the universe functions in magnetism, right? So everything is magnetism, and when you learn
Well,
magnetism,
not everything. It's one of the four fundamental forces, but there's at least three other forces, right?
I think there are other ways of describing magnetism, but
Okay, that's interesting. I don't know if
mhm,
I don't know if all physicists would agree with you there on that one, Alex, but I'll give it to you here. So yeah, maybe there's magnetism everywhere, right? Um, but
of course,
going back to the
all the way down to the molecular,
sure, I think anyway. But yeah, so regardless, right? Um, the spirituality thing. How do we understand that to be real and not just our imaginations? Because I think there's a lot of people, for example, right, that say ChatGPT is alive, like is a living thing, like you or me. There's people out there that believe that. I don't believe that it's a
Well,
living thing like you or me, but how do we demonstrate that? You know, how do we know that we are spiritual beings?
why do you think that we're not?
Well, I think that we're not, and I'll tell you my opinion. And again, I want to hear Ashley's thoughts on this too, if she agrees with me. I think that we're not because if you took cells of myself back when I was just a zygote, even not even a full person, and you put it in somebody else's body or even put it in an artificial womb, you can make a clone of me. And that's gonna be me. Like, that's going to have my most, if not all, of my genetic traits, and, it's just gonna basically be another version of me. In fact, that's what twins are, right? Twins
I,
are just, cells that are split and formed together genetically identical twins, right? Like, we recognize there is a material process that happened there that created the beings that are there. So I think I'm a material being because of that. I think from the minute I was conceived, whatever that means, to now was a completely material process. I don't see any room in there for any spiritual things to happen. I mean, it could be, but I just don't know where it would even exist.
well, like you said, when you were being created, I think it's when you're in the womb. I think after 49 days is the Pentecost, right? When your pineal gland is created, and I think that I call it the heavens, but the celestial objects in the sky. Um, so the day you're born, right, you're stamped with you have like an electromagnetic stamp, and that's what makes your personality. And you're here to develop that. I mean, you're given a vehicle, which is the physical avatar, so you can travel from point A to point B that you need to take care of. But ultimately, I think it's only a vehicle in order for your spirit to operate.
Okay. Well, this took a left turn. We were going down the highway and we just took an exit. I don't know where we're at now, but we got to stop at the gas station and fill up our tank before we go on. Because, like, what is happening here? Okay, so the pineal gland after 49 days gives us our personalities. So, like, wait,
Well,
what about
no.
animals that don't have a pineal gland? Like,
Well, I mean,
other mammals, for
right?
example.
Is there any animals that don't have a pineal gland? I couldn't tell you probably,
Yeah,
but
I mean, there's
well,
animals that don't have a pineal gland for sure. I mean, I don't know. I
so
don't know. I couldn't, give you a taxonomical, a throwdown of
right.
who does and who doesn't. But
Well,
like, I don't even know why do you think the pineal gland gives us our
Uh,
personality?
well, I mean, can we just change the word? I didn't mean pineal gland. How about central nervous system? I rather that central nerve. Everything has a central nervous system, and I think that's what keeps
Um,
us jacked into this reality, and that feeds us the information that we're taking in.
well,
I think
I don't.
personality comes a little bit more from, like, frontal lobe than your whole central nervous system.
Yeah, we definitely need to be very specific about the wording. Also, there's definitely living organisms that don't have central nervous systems. I don't know if you can describe anything that doesn't have a central nervous system as having a personality. That's debatable, but like still,
Well,
like
mhm.
if we're switching from pineal gland to central nervous system, I mean, like again, all those things are material. Like I don't know why you think there's a spiritual component to that.
Well, I mean, you're correct. I mean, the central nervous system filters, the information coming in. That's why you have your set of beliefs that like you don't believe in the spiritual, and whatever I say, you filter that information, in your own way, and that's what makes it special, right? We're all here, we're all different, we all have different fingerprints and all that, but we're all experiencing, you know, we're all like theophanies of, of the divine intelligence, if you want, you know.
I mean, yeah, like you're definitely right, right? We filter the world through our own biases, through our own preconceived notions, through our cognitive constructions. And I believe that's also like a material process, right? Like I think you also just said like, yeah, that I believe this way because my pineal gland or central nervous system, whatever. I mean, I don't think that's actually how it works, but like something material in me is doing that. Again, I'm just hearing material things. I don't understand where the spiritual part comes in. When does the spiritual part of me light up and say, okay, now I'm a
I
spiritual
mean,
being rather than just a material one?
right.
I mean,
Well, you were talking about dark matter, right? Or we can say, can we say, I'll say like a black hole, right? What do you think? What do you think a black hole is? Just for fun.
what do I think a black hole is? I am not qualified to answer that question.
Well, I mean, inherently, our bodies, like we experience, whether it be our eyes, right? We have We have a black hole. We have two black holes right there. Whether it be our nose or ears or mouth, all our senses contain holes, right? And so,
Wait, 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 what? I'm sorry, I'm interrupting. I need to know where this is going. I have no idea what
I don't
the
even know.
Do you know where this is going, Alex? Do you know where you're taking this metaphor?
I mean, you're asking me hard questions. I'm just going
I
along
get you.
here. I'm trying to.
I understand. Listen, don't feel like you have to give an answer, okay? If I give you a question and you're like, I don't know, I have to think about it, that's okay.
All
You
right.
know?
Mm-hmm.
And here's the thing, I do
Okay.
that all the time. I do that all the time because I'd rather be right about something than jump to conclusions, right? And
Well,
say to
I was
believe
just
something
stating
I don't
facts,
know.
though. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I think that's a good thing. And I appreciate your willingness to talk to me about your beliefs as well, by the way. It's a very
Oh,
commendable thing to do. Thank you for sharing that. Unfortunately, we are running out of time here, so I do have to kind of
all right.
cut you off and let you go.
All right.
But if you want to call in
Thank you.
again sometime, yeah, thank you, Alex, for sharing your thoughts and ideas. Because they're definitely unique. Yeah, so I think that's the first. I could be wrong. I think it's the first Christian Gnostic I've ever had the pleasure of speaking to on this